Hey y'all, it's Chelsea. Welcome back to my channel. We're doing another roast, y'all. So I asked some of my friends what types of videos they'd like to see, and I got this recommendation from my lovely friend Tiffany. So I put up a poll on my Instagram stories, and I asked what y'all's favorite books were so I could roast them. I did get quite a few responses, but for this installment, we are only doing 5, which I think is more than enough. Since Tiffany recommended this video, obviously I had to make sure her pick got put in the first one. So Tiffany's favorite book is Frankenstein. Now, if you can believe it, I haven't read Frankenstein, and I haven't seen any of the movies. I'm really not familiar with I've seen this photo and variations of it my entire life, but that's really all that I know. Dr. Frankenstein creates a creature, chaos ensues, I'm assuming. I really wanted this edition. This is annotated for scientists, engineers, and creators of all kinds, which just sounded really cool to me, and I thought that I'd get more out of it this way. I am going to pair this along with the audiobook, and if I feel so inclined to annotate, I will be doing so. My other friend Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads recommended We Hunt the Flame. Quick story. I got this audiobook back in November, and I DNF'd it almost immediately. But since she said this was her favorite book, I decided I'm going to give it another try. Disclaimer for this video, I will not be DNFing any of these books. I am going to finish all 5 if it kills me, because I mean I can't roast it if I don't read it. So we're gonna give this one another try. I couldn't get the audiobook. The audiobook is still on hold for another 3 weeks, so I needed the physical copy for this one, but I'm hoping that maybe that will help me, since obviously I didn't like the audio very much the first time around. I really don't know what this is. My other friend Destiny, she recommended Silver Under Nightfall. If you don't know, Destiny is the one who recommended the Honeys to me. Also, Tiffany likes the Honeys too, but Destiny is the one who got me to read the Honeys, and that has changed my entire life. She has since recommended other books to me that I've absolutely loved. Will say that I have the highest hopes for this one, but I know that Destiny is terrified for me to read this, because she has such a good track record with her recommendations. Again, I don't know anything about this either. I'm assuming it's vampires. My library didn't have an audiobook for this one at all, so I have no choice but to read it physically. So I was really glad that I was able to find a copy, and it's floppy. We love that. My lovely Megan recommended me 4 books that were her favorites, but I had read 3 of them already, so I was left with the Pisces. Apparently this is about a woman who falls in love with a fish. I really don't know. She's told me numerous times not to judge her off of this book, which I can totally relate to. I like tons of books that people read and are just like, Chelsea, what the fuck? And last but not least, the beautiful Lisa has recommended Home Before Dark. Now, if you've been here for any amount of time, you will know thrillers are not for me. It is very, very rare that I enjoy them. Very rare. And I have not dabbled in any Riley Sager. As you will see, I do not have a physical copy of this book. I do not want one. But Lisa did tell me that if I read this and I like it, she will send me a copy herself. And I don't know what this is about. I'm assuming it's a haunted house type story. I am terrified. I'm sure y'all are terrified, but also excited to see what the hell is going to happen here. So wish me luck, and I really hope that y'all enjoy this video. Hello everyone, and welcome to book 1, The Pisces, recommended to me by Megan. So I started this last night. I am reading along physically with the audiobook because I was able to get it through my library, and honestly it's a total game changer. So because of that, I have been annotating this. Yeah, I'm on chapter 9. I'm on page 39. And I have thoughts, but first I would like to start with the book itself. I love the way this book feels. It's like smooth and glossy, but it's not shiny. Um, if you don't know, I hate matte covers. I think they feel gross. Every time I touch them, I have to wash my hands because my hands feel dirty. Like it's just a thing that I have, and I hate matte covers. I know I'm the unpopular opinion, but it's just I can't. I don't like the way they feel. I don't like the way they feel. This one doesn't have that. So I'm really excited about that. In terms of the book, we're following our main character, Lucy, and she was in a long-term relationship with this man named Jamie, and the relationship got stale, it got old, they're kind of just going through the motions, and then they kind of decide to take a break, and Jamie decides that he wants to, break up, and Lucy takes that very badly. Lucy's got some issues, dude, for sure. She ends up going to stay with her sister for the summer. And that's kind of where I'm at so far. In terms of my annotations, Megan, what the fuck is wrong with you? It opens up with Lucy taking her sister's dog for a walk. And she said, "It felt so intimate, scooping his gigantic shits. The big hot bags of them." It just goes downhill from there. Chapter 2, she says, "I always wanted to have my own dick, just to walk around feeling that weight between my legs." There's a lot of that. But I do have some tabs in here. I've been underlining and writing in the margins like crazy. So far, the only tabs that I have are for pieces of writing that I like. So that does exist. The ache of living in a body was so fucking dull. I don't know about you, but that hits. One of the stipulations for Lucy to stay with her sister is that Lucy has to go to group therapy. And she's talking to the therapist. The therapist says that, she needs to go 90 days without having any contact with Jamie of any kind, and that she might experience symptoms of withdrawal. So Lucy says, "What does withdrawal entail?" And the therapist says, "People in withdrawal describe symptoms of depression, despair, insomnia, a feeling of emptiness." And Lucy comes back with, "Oh, so just life." I loved that. This is definitely a very weird book that is probably very niche. I made it to the 100-page mark of the Pisces last night, and honestly, I'm not hating it, but I don't necessarily like it either. But a lot of the times when I have any strong reactions, I'm mostly just concerned for Megan. Girl, why is this your favorite? I need to know, because I'm very concerned for you. The main character has met the mermaid man, but she doesn't yet know that he's the mermaid man. She just kind of goes to the beach at night randomly, and usually he's there. And they just had a moment where he touched her ankle, and it gave me all of the Jane Austen vibes. There was a part in here though, when she first meets him, and she goes, "The color of his nipples matched perfectly his lips, like pencil erasers." And I'm just dude, why? This main character, she has to go to therapy for love obsession or whatever, and she totally needs it. I am so concerned for this woman. She has no self-worth unless every single man she encounters is totally obsessed with her, and she works up all of these fantasies in her head, and when the reality does not meet those fantasies, she just totally fucking breaks down and loses her mind. Megan, you don't need a man. You don't need a man. I will be dipping in and out of this one. until I finish it. Today, I think I'm going to start reading Home Before Dark, which is Lisa's pick, because today is Monday. We start the work week again. I'm back on my audiobook bullshit. Y'all don't even want to know how precariously you are balanced right now. Oh my God. But we have very exciting things to talk about, you guys. I read the Riley Sager. I did it. I read it today. I read it on 1.5 speed, so I was in it for like most of my workday. And y'all, you will never guess what I gave this book. You will never guess. Like, you'll never guess. Just kidding. I gave that shit 2 stars. But, Lisa, before you cry, it was sitting at like a very 3 star for a majority of the book, which is a hell of a lot more than I can say for basically any other mystery thriller that I've read so far that I've disliked. So it does have that in its favor. All the way up, I want to say, until the last 2 hours of the audiobook, like, it was fine. Like, I had suspicions, I was trying to work things out in my head, but also at the same time, like, I just didn't care. This book follows a 30-year-old woman, and when she was 5, she lived with her parents in essentially what is Riley Sager's version of the Amityville house. And they live there for 20 days, and then something happens and they take off. Like, they leave all their shit and they never come back. And the dad writes a book about it, and it's like a sensation. But the girl calls bullshit on a lot of it because she doesn't remember anything about living in that house. She remembers nothing. So the whole, like, 25 years, she's trying to get her parents to fess up to what really happened. And they swear up and down, like, her mom refuses to talk about it. And her dad swears up and down that everything in the book is true. And then he dies. So she goes back to the house to try and flip it or whatever, and shit goes from there. I knew from the genre of this book that it was never going to go the way that I wanted. Otherwise, it would be classified as a horror. And that was fine. But half of this book is the book that the father wrote. So it's a book within a book. And since the main character basically tells you from the beginning that the book is bullshit, 50% of this book has no point. I swear to God, this book should have been a novella, but Riley Sager needed to hit those word counts, so he just added in the father's version of the story so he could have a full-length novel. Like, I don't think it did anything for the story. Like, I was just like slogging through those parts. I didn't care because it was all bullshit. So, like, who cares? Like, who cares? I didn't necessarily want to do spoilers for this vlog, but I can't roast this book without doing so. When I put my hand down, that is when I'm done spoiling this book. So if you haven't read it and you don't want to know anything, just wait until I put my hand down and we'll go from there. My biggest beef with this book was when we got to the reveals and the twists. Okay, I have heard about Riley Sager that it's like twist after twist after twist, and I feel like it was like that with this one. This girl remembers nothing from when she was 5. Like, she remembers nothing. So the whole entire story, her section of the story, she's trying to figure out like what really happened, because she has no memories. She doesn't know. The actual twist or the reveal will be spoken aloud to her, and then she'll be like, now I remember. And like, I thought that was so stupid. Like, it was the laziest thing I had ever seen, where it was like, he didn't kill her, you did. Oh, now I remember. Oh no, it wasn't you, it was her. Now I remember. Like, it was so dumb. And I'd also like to say that this book really started to take a nosedive when she reads the letter from her father. Because, like, why are you going to write to your child, regardless of how old you think she is when she's going to read it? Why are you going to say, oh, we left you with a babysitter because your mom and I needed to fuck, and let me tell you, we fucked a bunch. Like, I'm sorry, but I would never, ever want my parents to write me a letter and be like, yeah, we just needed to go fuck real quick, and boy, did we. Like, dude, I fucking can't. I can't. So those are the reasons why it ended up being a 2. Lisa, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't make you cry. But I would love for you to tell me why this is your favorite book. I don't know why I didn't ask y'all that for context while I'm reading these, but we can just talk about it in the comments. It's much later since the last clip. I don't even remember the last thing I updated you on, but I did finish the Pisces, and I still don't know what I want to rate it. I didn't like it, but like I didn't necessarily hate it either. I think I'm leaning towards like a 2.5. I feel like this is definitely one of those books where if it works for you, it really works for you. And if it doesn't, it just kind of doesn't. I feel like I know what this book is trying to do. It's that whole girl versus the void type of thing. I just didn't really like how this one was done. The language used in here, like I don't like it. Like, okay, so we had this problem last time where you couldn't really see my tabs. Like, okay, you can kind of see them. Like I was tabbing things in here, and that definitely stopped. So I did feel such an immense relief when it was done, because I was just so glad to not be reading this anymore. One last line that I would like to read off for you. She meets the mermaid guy, right? And like, you know, they're doing the thing, because apparently in this universe, the mer people, the tail starts after the ass. So like the genitals and everything are still accessible and exist. I was trying to think of it in terms of like a female, and I still don't know how that would work, because like how are you supposed to get at anything? But so she's hooking up with the mermaid man, right? And she goes, "As we kissed, I imagined eating his tail with garlic butter." And like shit like that does not stop through this entire book. Miss Megan, what is wrong with you? Please tell me what it is about this book that makes it your favorite. I know that you had told me that it just itched something in your brain, but like, are you okay? Do you need someone? Like, you can talk to... Moving on. Sorry, Megan, love you. I finished Frankenstein. I finished this today. I read this in its entirety today. So I've had the audiobook for this for a minute. I want to say going on 2 weeks. And I tried listening to it, not one, not twice, but 3 times. I started and restarted this audiobook, and because it's narrated by like an older man, just something in my brain just has a harder time computing audiobooks like that. So I started reading it physically, but this has smarty pants annotations in it. So I made it 10 pages in, and I was getting really fucking confused. I realized that my first read through, like I needed to go back after having read it to dabble into all of the annotations. But I would like to start by saying the bits that I did read from this before I switched back to the audio. Miss Mary Shelley is an August Virgo. So she is the Queen Supreme. Okay? Just for that alone. August Virgos were rare creatures. So, I mean, obviously, she would birth something like this. Having read a few pages from it physically, even though I was confused by what the fuck I was reading because of the annotations, when I did switch back to the audiobook, I didn't struggle with it as much. Like, I did listen to the entire thing on 1.5 speed. You're following Victor Frankenstein as he creates this creature, and shit hits the fan from there. I loved this. I gave it 4 stars. I finished it and I wanted to start it again. Like, I'm really, really glad that I ended up getting a physical copy, because I really want to dive back into it, because the bisexual vibes, they're strong in this one. And I love it. And Frankenstein is like the creature. He is the epitome of an emo boy. Like, if you are or have been a gay emo, this book is probably for you, and it will probably like really resonate with you. And not only did I really enjoy this story, but I was so like fascinated by all of it that I want to read like people's like essays, and like I want people to tear this book apart for me, and I want to read about all the things. Like, I think it's fascinating and I really enjoy it. And if you're scared of this one for any reason because it's a classic, like, I know that I really struggled with it in the beginning for various reasons, but I still think that it's worth a try. It was very good. It was very good. I love it. And I love so much that this classic specifically, it's been around for over 200 years now, and it was written by an 18-year-old girl. So suck it, white man. I understand why Tiffany loves it so much. And I can't wait to talk more about it with her because I know that she reads it regularly, so I can consult the pro. We need to have a talk. This was Nat's read. She warned me going in that I was probably not going to like this. Then I revealed to her that I've already tried to read this book once, back in November, and I DNF'd in chapter 2. Honestly, this book didn't stand a chance. I had a terrible day today. Not that the day was bad, I was just not in a good mood all day. So just this was not the vibe. I think I'm gonna give this 1 star. I do want to acknowledge the fact that it is probably me and not as much the book, though I'm not sure if I would have liked it anyway because I already DNF'd it once. I had to restart this audiobook today 3 times. I know I've said this about other books in the past, where like it goes in one ear and out the other, but this one takes the cake on that statement. Like, I retained no knowledge. This book is 469 pages, and everything that I could actually remember fit on 1.5 Post-its. When I'm telling you that I forgot everything instantaneously, I forgot everything instantaneously. I couldn't tell you a single character name. I couldn't tell you anything about the plot. I know that there was a horse. There was a wedding of some kind. Somebody died, but I couldn't tell you who, and I also couldn't tell you how. There was an oasis. Magic is missing. Like, honestly, that's all I have. Like, I read this book. I read the whole thing today. And that's all that I can tell you. And like, I was writing these things down as I was listening. It's not like I finished and then tried to gather my thoughts afterwards. I was taking notes as I was listening. Like, I'm telling you, it went from one ear and just flew right out the other. Like, there was no hope. I can say, in terms of the audio, the dialogue is so dramatic. Like, so dramatic. Like, even just like with the voices they use are in there, where it goes, "You're a girl," and then she goes, "Well, you're a murderer." Like, it was I can't. And like, that was all of my notes. Like, that's all I got. That's all I have. So while I'm giving this a 1 star because of that, I'm acknowledging the fact that that rating ties in large part to me, most likely, and not so much the book. This will be unhauled. I'm sorry, Nat. But I think this is the worst one of the video so far. This was, no. It makes me laugh so hard because I can't tell you anything about this book. I read the whole entire thing and I can't tell you one thing about it. I'm pretty sure if I read the synopsis right now, I'd be like, oh, that's what it's about. Though I will say, like, if you're interested in this, if it's on your radar, like, pick it up. Please let me know. And actually, somebody, Nat, let me know down in the comments, what is this book about? I would love to know since I read it. Next up is going to be Destiny's pick, which is Silver Under Nightfall. I'm very excited about this one. I know that she's also very excited for me to read this and also very scared for me to read this. This one and We Hunt the Flame are the only ones that I have left, but I am being stubborn as all hell and I'm waiting for that fucking audiobook to come in. But anyway, this is next. I don't know anything about it. Gay vampires, I'm assuming. Editing this vlog all the way through to realize that I never talked to y'all about Silver Under Nightfall. I would first like to apologize to Destiny We have talked about this book a little bit since I've read it. I'd like to apologize that this section of the vlog, is not very good. So I did tell y'all repeatedly that I needed to read this physically because my library doesn't have an audio. So I read chapter 1. I don't know if you can see these tabs. I read chapter 1, and chapter 1 was 5 stars. I was instantly gripped. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was disgusting. I loved it. I was here for it. It was so good. I have like 14 tabs just in chapter 1. But I was already running so behind on this video that there was no way that I was going to get through it. So I got a free Audible trial and got the audiobook for it. Even though chapter 1 is 5 stars, I ended up giving this book as a whole 3 stars, but like a low 3, like almost a 2. And I've never felt this way about a book before. Like I felt so indifferent about it. Like I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was very info dumpy, and like it's long, so I felt that it was unnecessarily long. I feel like it dragged, but at the same time, I desperately want to read the sequel. Like this felt like a filler book, but it's book 1. And honestly, like I feel so bad because it's been like 2 weeks since I've read this. Like I really don't remember much of anything else. It is a vampire book. We're following Remy, and he's like a vampire hunter type, and then he ends up like creating this relationship, this sexual relationship with 2 of vampires. So like that's a whole thing, and like it's gay, and that was a good time. And apparently there's something called the rot. Oh my god, this is so bad. But there's this thing called the rot where basically like dead bodies are becoming these like crazy like monster things, and you know they're causing chaos and destruction. All of those parts were cool. This does have a lot of like court politics, and I think that's a big reason why I didn't care for it that much, because I found all of that like incredibly boring and dull. But like the action scenes were really good. The romance was really good. Like I enjoyed those aspects of it. I just really don't care about the court politics. Like but like I do want to know where this story's going. I was not expecting to feel the way that I feel about this book, and I really hate that I never filmed this clip because now my brain is empty. This wasn't nearly as bad of an experience as I thought. Like I really thought that I was going to be tearing y'all's books to shreds, and I feel like it really wasn't that bad. Like I have a new favorite. Like this one I'm intrigued by. The Pisces was kind of like the Pisces. Obviously I didn't like the thriller, and obviously I didn't like We Hunt the Flame because I had already DNF'd it once. It wasn't that roasty. This one was not it. I am sorry. Thank you so much for listening to me talk for like a half an hour. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far, please give this video a thumbs up. Talk to me down in the comments. If you want me to do another round of this, like leave me your favorite books down in the comments. Tell me why they're your favorite books. If you haven't subscribed to me already, please consider doing so. Y'all interacting with me here like really makes my day. And just thank you. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.